Woo-wee! NFL Week 7 spread picks is here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously last week was a crazy one. The Tyreek Hill cell phone flip. That shit was honestly pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. Jets upset the Eagles. There are no undefeated teams left in the NFL. The Niners also lost. Um, and it's going to get pretty interesting this week. The Eagles actually play the Dolphins, so that's going to be maybe a Super Bowl preview. Um, Obviously, Cooper Kupp is back. The Giants, my team, go Big Blue, got absolutely screwed, but they also screwed themselves at halftime with the horrible play call. Not even a play call. Tyrod Taylor just alerted to it. So, yeah, that one goes on him. He should have never done that. But it is what it is. Darren Waller got held. We all know it. But obviously, bang, bang play. Sometimes you don't see him. I'm kind of over it now. It just sucks that could have been such a huge win for that team. And especially Darren Waller. He hasn't been in the end zone as a Giant yet. In 2 weeks in a row, he's had a chance. So, but let's get into it. Week 6 results. The early window, we absolutely smoked. Went 6-2 in the early window. The later window was a little rough, but you know what? Sometimes it is what it is. Went 1-3 in the later window. Obviously, the Jets going, or not going into Philly, the Jets winning against Philly was a little bit of a shocker. That defense, even without DJ Reed and Sauce, was just incredible. Jalen Hurts looked lost in the second half, especially. Went 2-1 in primetime games, including Thursday night last week. So I'd say that's pretty good. But yeah, man. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you did not see on my Twitter at Rossi on YT, I basically predicted the Miami Dolphins game. It ended up being 42-21 Dolphins, and I had 41-21 in my preview spread picks last week, so that was pretty awesome. Probably will not happen again where I am that close, but 16-13 on the season, and let's get right into this one. Jags at Saints. Holy hell. English is a tough one. Saints -2 at home. They are the favorites. Now, is that because Trevor Lawrence, I mean, even though he will play, has a knee injury from last week against the Colts? How functionable will that knee be? Like, I don't know if he's going to wear a brace or if he's just going to go out there. Oh my God, excuse me. If he's going to go out there no brace, like, what's going to happen with that situation? So, obviously, I have on there Kamara versus ETN. I think this could be a showdown of running backs tonight. I really do. ETN recently has been unbelievable. Kamara, since he's got back, has probably the most catches in the NFL. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Derek Carr is a check down merchant right now. But both of them, obviously, really good receiving backs. They are super patient runners, and they just pick you apart as the game goes along. Both of them are top 10 running backs without a doubt. It'll be interesting again to see Trevor Lawrence against a really good Saints defense. As you can see, they're top 10 in everything. Marshawn Lattimore's been playing great. Obviously, Cam Jordan's a dog. Granderson's been really good. Just really good pieces on that Saints defense, Demario Davis included. And as well as, the kid out of Stanford that they have at corner. I think it was Stanford. It might be Tennessee. Oh man, I can't think of his name, but he's a really good slot corner as well. Can kind of switch in between actually slot and outside. I don't know why his name's eluding me right now. He's only been in the league for like 2 years, but that Saints defense is really good. Would not be surprised to see Trevor Lawrence throw an interception tonight. So be on the lookout for that. Regardless, I do think the Jags offense is just going to put up more points than the Saints offense. I don't think the Saints offense is that good. Maybe they show out tonight. The Jags defense isn't world beaters by any means. Um, but this could be maybe a Derek Carr like, hey, I'm still here. I'm a above average quarterback in the NFL. Like, I can take this Saints team places, and maybe that's what it'll be. But I still think the Jags are going to win this one and cover. Um, +2 on the spread for the Jags, and I think they're going to win by more than that, as I have right there. Jags 24-16, they cover and get the win and go to 5-2. Browns -3 at Indianapolis, and obviously no Anthony Richardson for the rest of the season, it sounds like, which sucks. That kid is so good, and he really just needs to actually, like, stop trying to just run over everyone. Just slide, man. It's all good if you don't get the extra, like, yard and a half. You're a quarterback. You're not supposed to be fighting for those, but, like, we appreciate it at the same time, the competitiveness. But Minshew Mania, rest of the way. Last week was one of the worst performances I've seen from him since he's been in the NFL. This week might be worse. So we'll see about that. Obviously, the Browns defense is a Super Bowl winning defense. I have it right there. If Deshaun can come back, which he practiced today, and we get Houston Deshaun Watson, I truly believe the Browns could end up being AFC favorites. Yes, I said it. That defense is that good. Houston Deshaun Watson is that good. We just need like 3/4 of Houston Deshaun Watson. I know he had like 2 years off, but dude, you have played in like how many games now? You've had how many practices? You had a full off season. Like, come on. You're an NFL quarterback. You were a top 10 pick in the draft for a reason. Maybe it was top 12. But seriously, if he can be his former self, this team has a real shot. And I think if he can be his former self, they should be the AFC North favorites. Like, this defense truly is this good. Um, I mean, 23% third down percentage is unheard of, to be honest. They just need to put up more points. That's all they have to do. Need to put up more points. And I think they'll put up more points than the Colts this week. I think Minshew and the Colts will have probably 3 turnovers at least. And Myles Garrett's going to get after it. Him and Zadarius Smith, man, they're going to wreak havoc in this game for Minshew. And as much as I do love Minshew, big Coug alum, go Cougs, baby. I'm not saying I'm the alum. Minshew, it's going to be a rough one for him. Browns are going to get to 4-2. They're going to win 2010 and cover -3 against the Colts. Bills, 8.5-point favorites in New England against a stinky Patriots team that I don't know how much longer this Patriots defense, at least the players, are gonna basically not endure, but kind of. Like, how long is this Patriots defense just gonna allow this offense to be this shit without saying anything or just without losing that drive to actually play? Because obviously, with as great as a coach as Bill Belichick is, this is tough to watch, man. Like, this Patriots team, they are averaging 12 points per game. 12. I think the only team that's worse than that might be the Giants. And that's saying a lot because they have scored. The Giants have scored, let's see, 0. They have scored 31. So maybe not. 0, 31, 12, 3, 16, and 9. So probably not the Giants. So I don't know who's behind them. But the Patriots offense is trash, bro. I don't know, like, I have it there. Literally just put Malik Cunningham in and just let him do his thing. Like, at this point, what do you have to lose? You're not going to win the division. You're most likely already out of the AFC playoffs because of how good the AFC is. Just throw in Malik Cunningham. Run read options. Run triple options. Run play action. Do whatever makes him feel comfortable and just let him cook. Because Mac Jones is obviously not the answer, especially when he's not athletic enough to be out of the pocket and make plays. Malik is. Like, how many more of these games are you going to go through and just not make a change at quarterback? Like, I don't get it. Obviously, the Bills are coming off what should have been a loss to the Giants. I already highlighted that at the start. And it's going to be all on the Pats defense like it has the previous 6 weeks. Can they get turnovers? Can they get to Josh Allen and try and do what the Giants did on Sunday night? I don't think they're going to be able to. I think the Bills are going to win big. Kind of like the playoff a couple years ago where the Bills won like 45-10 or something ridiculous. I got 38-13, Bills covering that 8.5 point spread, and there's going to be some serious questions with the Patriots front office and their staff after this one. Raiders 3-point favorites in Chicago. And this one should be a fun one if you like shit shows. Tyson Bagent most likely versus Brian Hoyer. Bagent, the D2 record holder for most passing yards and touchdowns, I believe. Had an up and down performance against the Vikings last week. Obviously, the strip sack is going to be all you hear about for that one, but he wasn't. he was kind of bad, but he wasn't dog shit, I should say. I do think Max Crosby is going to have close to a career game, if not a career game. The Bears' offensive line is not very good. I think they're going to be running stunts. I wouldn't be surprised to see the rookie Tyree Wilson get in on this game and wreak some havoc from the opposite side of Crosby because there's going to be so much attention over there. There's going to be turnovers for sure. I'd like to see the Bears D-line actually get after Hoyer or O'Connell, whoever's in there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Hoyer. Just to kind of send some blitzes, make them uncomfortable. That's going to be your only shot. This game literally might be like 13-10 as a final. I have 24-14 with the Raiders covering, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game has, 24 total points. Like, it could be that type of game. I do think Josh Jacobs will be heavily featured in this, as the Bears' run defense is not good. Even if it says they have allowed under 90 rushing yards per game, I just don't think it's that good. I mean, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds have basically been the only reason that is at under 100 yards. I think Josh Jacobs is good enough back to where the Raiders can scheme up some stuff and really get him going. Maybe more in the receiving game. But I think Jacobs could get back and have a 100-yard performance. I don't think he's had one yet this year, so I think this is the game to do it. If you're Tyson Bagent, get it to Kmet, get it to Mooney, definitely get it to DJ Moore. and just don't be stupid. The Raiders' secondary is not good. I shouldn't say not good. They're not great. Nate Hobbs awesome. Merrick is really good, but it's not like they have world beaters out there. So just make the right decision. Trust your instincts. Trust your reads. And just, sling it. But yeah, I do think the Raiders take this one. 24-14 Raiders cover -3. Commanders 3-point favorites in New Jersey. At the Giants. And this one is pretty big for both teams. If the Giants drop this one and go to 1-6, people are going to be coming for Dable and Shane's head. It's already started to happen. I don't think it's right, personally. Because I think Dable's a good coach, and I think a lot of people outside of the Giants organization and fan base also think Dable's a really good coach. This team is littered with injuries in very important places. Andrew Thomas being probably the top of that list. It really is just, it's been so bad since the start. There's been injuries everywhere. DJ has been trash. I know he doesn't get much help from the O-line, but, what we saw with Tyrod against the Bills. Now, I know sometimes backup quarterbacks, because there isn't a ton of film, it's easier for them to look better. But under Tyrod, this offense for the Giants actually looked somewhat functional. And that's not a knock on Daniel Jones, because I know the O-line is really bad, but it also is a knock on Daniel Jones. He looks lost out there at times, and it is super frustrating to watch as a fan, because I really want this Giants team to be good, man. I think we're going in the right direction. Obviously, last year, you could definitely say it was fluky, because I agree. Did I expect to be in the playoffs last year? Absolutely not. But it happened. That was a fantastic way to start the Shane and Dable era as well. Please, for the love of God, give those guys 4 years, because I do think they are our future. The draft classes haven't been good yet, but just trust. Anyway, back to the game. Obviously, last year, Sunday Night Football, this game meant a ton, and it was the Kayvon Thibodeau show. I mean, this dude had, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. He had 7 total tackles, had a forced fumble, had a fumble recovery, had a touchdown. He basically saved the game when Heineke ran out of the pocket and he stopped him at the 1, because they would have scored a touchdown to tie it at that moment. He was everywhere. And I expect him to be just as good, because it's not like the Commanders really have that good of an offensive line. Wink needs to let these guys actually have true pass rush sets, because I think Kayvon will get there. I think Dex will get there. Hopefully Leo's good. Obviously, opposite of Kayvon, we don't have Azeez, but that situation is what it is. On the flip side, the Commanders' front 7 against the Giants' O-line is going to be very interesting, because obviously that's one of the most talented, if not the most talented, D-line in all of football. From end to end, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Chase Young. It cannot get much better than that. It really can't. Outside of the Eagles and Dallas, I don't think there's really anything better. And for the Giants, that sucks, because you go up against all 3 of these teams twice a year. So I think it will be a little bit of a challenge for the Giants. Secondary, obviously the Commanders have McLaurin, they have Dotson, they have Samuel, Antonio Gibson's a weapon out of the backfield, Logan Thomas. They're going to have to be sound in the secondary to win this one. I do think the Giants win. The spread did change to -3. So what my prediction is would be a push. Um, and yeah, I do think the Giants pick up the win. Hopefully, I'm right. Go Big Blue, and I think they'll cover the spread, even though my prediction doesn't say they will. Atlanta Falcons at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers favored by 2.5 at home, as they should be, because Desmond Ritter, good lord, son, you cannot do whatever you did last week. That was horrid. Um, what I will say is the Falcons' defense is for real. I think I said it last week. Um, they've been playing so good. Uh, I do think the Tampa defense is going to force some turnovers this week. I think Joe Tryon, Sharinka, is that? Oh, I might have just butchered that. Um, and no, Shaq Barrett's out, isn't he? I don't know. I haven't really watched the Bucks this year. If Shaq Barrett's in there, I think him and Tryon Sharinka, I hope I'm saying that right, will get after Ritter and force him to make some bad decisions. The secondary's got some talent with Winfield, Carlton Davis. They did retain Jamel Dean, I believe, correct? I don't know about Murphy Bunting. Man, I'm so lost. This Bucks team, I'm thinking of like the players the last couple years, and I'm like, oh man, were they actually on the team right now? But obviously, they have two of the best linebackers in the entire league in Devin White and Levante David, who will probably be able to minimize actually Bijan Robinson for the most part. Not Brian Robinson, because that would have been the last game with the Commanders. Anyways, I do think if Baker is healthy enough, I should add, if he is healthy enough, I do think that the Buccaneers will walk out of here with a win. And even if he is like 75 to 85%, I still think they will. Obviously, a very important game. I have it in here. This game really could have massive playoff implications down the line. This NFC South is so close between these two teams and the Saints, who play tonight. They're all 3-3, 3-2, outside of the Panthers. But that team is too young and just not ready yet, which is fine. These three teams, though, every single game that they play each other is going to be huge. And it starts with this one. But I do think the Bucks will take care of business. They will cover the 2.5-point spread, and they will go into Week 8 as NFC South Division leaders. Lions at the Ravens, and this one is gonna be juicy. Obviously, the last time these two teams played, Justin Tucker set the record for the longest field goal made by an NFL kicker at 66 yards. And that bounced off the crossbar. This time, the Lions are a lot better. Lamar Jackson has to be a lot better. He bounced back last week against the Titans like I said he would. He didn't explode or anything, but he played efficiently. He got the ball to his receivers. His receivers caught the ball. And the Ravens' defense worked wonders. They were awesome against the Titans. And, I mean, I have it in here. This could definitely be game of the week. And there's a lot of good games that are going to happen this weekend, starting with the Saints and Jags, trickling down to this game. I think Miami Eagles is going to be really, really good. Like, Week 7 has some stuff in store for us, and I am so excited. This is in Baltimore, so the Dome ain't going to save the Lions this week. This could have some I don't know the weather, but there could definitely be weather. Uh, it is Baltimore. You're on the East Coast. There's probably going to be wind. So we'll see. Can the Ravens defense bring the same energy they did against the Titans into this week? They better, or else it's going to be a long day. Because this Lions offense is good. And I'm not just saying that. I think they did lose David Montgomery last week. I don't know if he finished the game, but at least he was out for part of it, I believe. I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be back. He might be a game time decision. He's kind of been in and out of practice. Can Aiden Hutchinson get after Lamar Jackson? Because if he can pressure him, that is going to be very, very key to winning this game for the Lions. I do think the Ravens pick up this win, and I do think they cover the spread. Maybe it is going to be off the leg of Justin Tucker again. I have no idea. This game is going to be a super fun one to watch, though. Like, if you're able to watch this, do it, because this is going to be real, real fun, and probably the highlight of the early window games, those 1 p.m. Eastern Coast time. Holy shit, English is tough. This is going to be the highlight, basically, of that early window. I think there's going to be points galore. Obviously, my prediction's 34-28, but it could be more than that. And it could be less, too. Like, both defenses are actually pretty good. Getting Marlon Humphrey back for the Ravens was so key. And he's been playing good since he got back. Probably outside of the Steelers, George Pickens play, whatever. Not his fault that they lost that game. But Ravens, -3, and they win this week against the 5-1 Lions. Cardinals at the Seahawks. Seahawks 7.5-point favorites at home, as they should be, with that crowd. And the Cardinals are starting to derail a little bit. Kyler Murray is back practicing this week, so that's awesome news. Don't know if he'll actually be with the team next year, but for now it's good news because the NFL is better with him. Dobbs has been so fun to follow. It's such a good story, but I think this Cardinals team is starting to, like I said, fall off the rails a little bit. And it's kind of showed the last couple weeks with the Bengals and the Rams last week. The Rams just picked them apart after a while, which is usually what McVay does against the Cardinals. And we highlighted that he was something ridiculous, like 12-1 against the Cardinals last week. So, it is what it is sometimes. But I do think Seahawks secondary is going to wreak some havoc this week. I think Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen, maybe they both get an interception this week, but I think they'll have some pass breakups, deflections. Maybe one of them has an interception. That one's a hard one to predict, but I think the Cardinals have kind of emptied the tank a little bit, trying to keep up with better teams than them and trying to show that they have fight. I love that Jonathan Gannon has gotten this much out of them. Like, that just proves that he should be the coach of the future for at least the next, 5 to 6 years. Like, you got to give him that chance after this start. Like, even though they are 1-5, it's been impressive to watch. Not much more to it than that. Geno's just got to hit his guys. DK left the game for a little bit last week. I think he came back, though, so he should be fine. I'd love to see Smith and Jigba, the rookie, really start to get involved, because I think he's a fantastic player, but so far not off to the best start to his career. But yeah, Seahawks, I think they cover the 7.5-point spread, and they win by 2 scores this week, 31-17 over their division rival Steelers at the Rams. Rams 3-point favorites in LA, and we will see if the Rams can get back over 500. It seems like they've kind of just been hovering all year long. They've been 1-0, then they were 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 3-3. Like, they've had some good performances, they've had some bad performances, some mid. Last week was a little bit mid, even though they won by 17. It was close to start the game, and then they kind of pulled away. But Steelers are coming off a bye, so that's big. They got healthier. Maybe Matt Canada has drawn up some offensive plays that aren't from Madden. Although maybe he should take some plays from Madden's because whatever he's running is fucking ancient, and I don't know why, with the talent that they have on offense, he is doing what he is doing. Nor he just shouldn't have a job. Like, at this point, and with last year, like, the Steelers' defense is saving him a job, basically. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, the Steelers' defense is for real. I know they've given up a ton of yards, but they're the only reason they are 3-2. You think of the Browns game, you think of the Ravens game. Like, how long did it take the Steelers to actually score a touchdown in the Ravens game? I know they won it on the touchdown to George Pickens, but how long did it take to get to that moment? So, I mean, I think the Rams' our offense is going to be too much. Nakua and Cooper Kupp, that duo is damn near unguardable. Um, it'll be interesting to see how the Steelers attack them with the weapons they have. Obviously, no Kyron Williams this week for the Rams. They have signed Royce Freeman off the practice squad. They have signed another guy that I can't think of. It was today though. Here, let me look it up. Oh, that's right. They signed Myles Gaskin, the former UW and Miami running back. So Myles Gaskin's actually really good. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets any playing time. Um, I would imagine Royce Freeman and actually probably Royce Freeman is gonna start. I know they re-signed Darrell Henderson, so he probably could get some run because he is so familiar with the offense. Obviously, being with McVay for so long, uh, and I do think the Rams offense, just like last week, is gonna finally. It might take them a little bit, but they are gonna get some points on the board, and the Steelers are just not gonna be able to come back from it. Rams cover -3 and win 28-16 at home and get up and over 500. Packers 1-point favorites in Denver, Colorado against the Broncos, and the Broncos still suck. It was not Nathaniel Hackett, it was the team. But it also was Nathaniel Hackett. Packers also off of a bye. Hopefully that made Jordan Love get the confidence back, maybe relax a little bit. If he has Aaron Jones back, that's a huge boost. Is Javonte Williams back for the Broncos as well? Because he's such a good player, even though I love McLaughlin. Like, Jaleel McLaughlin is so much fun to watch. He is an absolute dog, and he runs just people into the ground. He keeps those legs moving. I love that from running backs. Now, if you're Russ and Jordan Love, Russ, do not throw in the direction of Jair Alexander. Just don't do it. And if you're Jordan Love, do not throw Pat Surtain. Like, both those corners just take away one half of the field. That's fine. Like, maybe you'll be able to get to it. Whoever's running the routes against these guys, maybe once or twice. That is perfectly fine. Don't test them. These two are two of the best corners in the game. If you test them, it's going to cost you. It just is what it is. I do think Jordan Love's going to bounce back in this one. I think a 1-point spread in favor of the Packers is kind of low, but I understand it because they're also 2-3 and they've had their fair share of struggles this year. Nothing to the extent of the Broncos, but I do think the Packers will win big, maybe even bigger than 8 points, honestly. I think this team is going to get back rolling, and we're going to see them start to compete a little bit more and catch the Detroit Lions, actually. I really do believe that, and make it a little bit tougher for the Lions to win the NFC North. Um, but like I said, Packers, they're going to cover, and they're going to win somewhat big, if not bigger than 8 points. 24-16 Packers. Chargers at the Chiefs. Chiefs 5.5-point favorites in Arrowhead. And not much more to say than that. These Chargers Chiefs games are always so much fun. They're usually prime time. Obviously, last year we had the privilege of the Jalen Watson pick six, or else the Chargers probably win that game. Herbert also got injured in that game, but yeah, that one was a tough one if you're a Chargers fan. Another game of the week candidate, along with the Lions and Ravens, and one that we're about to talk about as well. Obviously, Chargers coming off of a bye and losing to Dallas the way that they did was a little bit shocking. No pun intended. I think they're staring down 2-4. Like, I do have them winning this game, but that was kind of like, I don't know if I should have. I think they'll cover the spread because these games are always so close, but I don't know if the Chargers are going to win. So I'm kind of going back on my statement here, but some advantages for the Chargers. Mike Williams and Quentin Johnson, obviously two bigger receivers, are going to be going up against corners like Jalen Watson, who are smaller frame, maybe 6'1" and smaller. Like, if you're Justin Herbert, you got to throw it up to these guys. I know one of the knocks on Johnston was at TCU, he did not ever really have to go up and make those 50-50 plays. But in this game, you're going to get the opportunities, and you should get the opportunities. And you got to make the most of them. You really do. Because if you let the Chiefs hang in there, Mahomes is going to make a play. Travis Kelce is going to make the play. Chris Jones, like L'Jarius Sneed, one of these guys is going to make a play. I also think Rashid Rice could have a breakout game in this one. Because outside of Asante Samuel, who's guarding Rashid Rice? I loved him out of SMU. He's been really good this year so far. Nothing like spectacular, but I think this one he could be spectacular. I do have the Chargers covering. I'm kind of going back on my game prediction here. I think I might change it. No. I'll stick with it. I got to be a man of my word. Chargers 31-28. They cover the 5.5-point spread and get back on track and get a little bit, reel the Chiefs back in a little bit, you know? And here it is, Sunday night football. Dolphins, Eagles. Eagles minus 2.5-point favorites. I don't know if we've seen the Eagles off a loss like last week in 2 years. So this is going to be really, really interesting to see how they respond, especially Jalen Hurts. Obviously, I don't think the Dolphins have anywhere close to the talent as the Jets defense does, but the Jets were also missing their top two corners, so we'll see how it goes. If Lane Johnson is out, that is a key matchup for the Dolphins to take advantage of with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Christian Wilkins up the middle. He'll make his plays in the run game. This one's going to be real interesting. I think it's going to be high scoring, a ton of offense, and we're going to find out if the Dolphins can actually beat a top 5 team in the NFL. That's what I'm looking at. They last year couldn't beat top 5, even top 10 teams, outside of maybe the Ravens. Like, they lost brutally to the Bills this year already. They did beat the Chargers, and I have a lot of respect for the Chargers, so that one was a really good win. But I need to see them try and at least go toe-to-toe with this Eagles team. Because obviously the Eagles were in the playoffs last year. Like, they need to show some life against these teams. I haven't seen it yet from Tua as well in these big games. And this one's on prime time, so nothing bigger. Sunday Night Football. The world's going to be watching. Make a play, Tua. Make a play. Obviously, he doesn't have to do that much when you have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, Mostert, all these guys. But I do think the Eagles are going to bounce back. They just win these types of games. Going to be high scoring. I got 42-37. That would be super fun to watch after a 9-14 thriller with the Bills and Giants last week. But yeah, I got the Eagles winning this one, unfortunately. I just don't think the Dolphins have it in them. Not yet. And for the last game of the week, 49ers, 6.5-point favorites in Minnesota, in the Skull. I mean, even without Debo and Christian McCaffrey, maybe even Trent Williams, I think he will play, though. I just think this team is so much better than the Vikings. They'll make their plays. You still have Elijah Mitchell as a backup, and even Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's been really good to spell both Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. So, I mean, we saw it in the playoff game a couple years ago. The Vikings defense just couldn't stop the run, and I still think they cannot stop the run. So, I think it's going to be a ton of running, maybe close to 250 yards total of rushing yards for the 49ers in this one, and they're going to walk out of Minnesota with a win because Kirk Cousins in primetime just has yet to do anything of importance. Or not importance, I shouldn't say that. He hasn't been able to perform. Kirk Cousins doesn't perform in primetime. It just is what it is. I don't know why, but some guys just can't do it, and he's one of them. So 49ers win big. They go to 6-1 and get that confidence and the juice back flowing into this team after kind of a brutal loss. What should have been a win on that missed field goal by Moody. Hopefully that doesn't diminish his confidence, because that's how you get kicked out of this league, man. Don't lose that confidence. You're good. You're a rookie. It happens. It's a hard place to kick in Cleveland. So it will be interesting to see how Purdy responds, though, because this is the first time we're going to be seeing him coming off a loss that he was actually, played the full game in. So we'll see how that goes. I do think he'll respond just fine. But yeah, Vikings are going to win big. Vikings still without Justin Jefferson. I just don't think they have the talent to win this game. I'm sorry. Maybe that's too much doubt. But the Niners team has just looked that good this year. So, Niners win big, 31-16 on Monday Night Football. They cover the 6.5 points. And that is basically it for this one. Week 7 is going to be a fun one. There's a lot of good games in here. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to go 9-6 again this week. I think this week's going to be pretty unpredictable. But thank you guys so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.